Hello and welcome back to Firestorm Games, and in this video we're going to be looking at the Primaris Inceptors. Now the Inceptors are designed to be dropped from low orbit, hence their heavier backpacks and bulkier armour. And on the front here you can see 3 of the assembled miniatures, each of them armed with their plasma weaponry. If I flip this box over you can see some of the other weaponry available, the assault bolters there, and also some slightly different poses and some suggestions on how to paint them as well. So let's open this box up and take a look at the content inside. Inside the Inceptor box we get the following. We have 3 flying stands here. These are just those standard ones that glue to a base, and you can see they have this little groove that you glue the actual Inceptor into there. We also have a transfer sheet. Again, this is mainly Ultramarines iconography on here, but there's some Roman numerals that you could use for your generic units. And next up we have the instruction booklet itself. So this shows you how to assemble the Inceptors. Again, very clear instructions. Everything's nicely numbered, everything's nicely diagrammed. You can see here we've got these yellow sections where you're supposed to apply the glue, and even tells you which sections shouldn't be glued and which sections are optional extras. Then at the back here we also have some instructions, which means that if you don't yet have the codex, you know how to assemble your miniatures and you're going to be assembling them in any rules illegal way. At the back here we have a listing of what the actual transfer sheet is, some more examples of the painted miniatures, and some guidelines on how to paint them as well. So that's the instruction booklet looked at. Let's move on to the sprues themselves. So here we have the first sprue for the Inceptors, and this contains a lot of the weaponry. You can see here we've got some assault bolters and also the plasma weaponry there as well. Now these are actually pretty much single pieces. There's a few additional items you need to glue on separately, such as these as well, but they pretty much come as a single item. Now unfortunately it doesn't look like you get many shoulder pads. You only get enough shoulder pads to kit out your squad, so you can't really easily switch out the arms because you're going to be running out of shoulder pads. Maybe if you had some additional shoulder pads you could swap them out if you wanted to, or you were happy to use generic shoulder pads instead. Now we also have a few additional items for the jump pack, including these fins, and these are kind of like guidance fins that go onto the jump packs. Now if you opened up the Reaver box set as well, you'll notice that this kind of similar style has been taken from there as well. Now in terms of the rest of the body of the Inceptor, they pretty much are fixed in their poses. You can see here we've got the legs which are fixed, and we also have the torsos as well. So I don't think you really get much in the way of customization in terms of how you can maneuver these bodies, not without doing some cutting and filling of gaps anyway. So that's the first sprue looked at. Let's move on to the next. So here we have the second Inceptor sprue, and again we've got some weaponry you can see dotted about the sprue here as well, but we also have the heads for the Inceptors as well. Now you also get your 3 kind of standard heads, you get a few additional heads as well, but you also get these blast shields, and you can just about see a closed one there. Now these are a separate piece, which means if you wanted to kind of glue that on you could save yourself a head or vice versa. So these are basically blast shields that get deployed when they're falling from orbit, just to protect them a little bit more from the re-entry. So you can see here we've got some more items such as the backpack items, some more bolter shielding, some more of the body parts as well. Again, single pose items. We've got some pipes of some of the weaponry, a few additional items such as these purity seals, but in terms of actual additional components there isn't really much on here. But looking at the miniatures themselves, they don't really have much in the way of equipment. They pretty much have their backpacks and their weaponry, and that's about it. So that's the sprues looked at. Let's get one of these Inceptors assembled and take a look at the finished item. So that concludes our look at the Primaris Inceptors. Now whilst there are some limitations on how you compose them, I really do like the aesthetics of these guys. They're very bulky, very heavy, kind of what you would imagine you would need to have in order to survive an orbital drop. The weapon options are nice as well, being able to choose between assault bolters and plasma weaponry, but it would have been nice to have a few extra shoulder pads so we could do some magnetizing. A few extra heads in there are quite nice because you could use them on your other Primaris kits to kind of add a little bit of variation to those items as well. Now if you want to pick up a set of these for yourself, they're available on the Firestorm Games web store, and the RRP of them is £30, but you can pick them up on the Firestorm Games web store for £25.50, and I'll include a link in the description below. Now if you enjoyed this video, please do let us know in the comments below, along with your suggestions for what you would like to see us unbox or cover in tutorials in the future. So all that's left to say is thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again on Firestorm Games.